You wake up in the morning, and something deep inside whispers that there's more, so much more, than this treadmill of a routine day in and day out. While you're brewing your coffee, getting ready for another ordinary day, you feel a strange weight in your chest. Not exactly sadness, but a sense of incompleteness. You look around and see people content with their normal lives, their steady jobs, their predictable weekends, their small talk about yesterday's game or the latest binge-worthy show, and you wonder why this isn't enough for you. Why do you feel this constant restlessness, this nagging sense that you're wasting precious time on tasks that don't truly matter? At night, when silence finally settles and you lie in bed, thoughts flood in. Is there something only you can do? Is there a unique contribution your life is meant to offer the world? What if you die without ever discovering it? This unease isn't weakness. It's not a sign that something's wrong with you. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived Auschwitz and founded logotherapy, discovered something extraordinary about people like you. There's a segment of humanity that carries what he called an existential vocation, a rare mission that cannot be ignored without profound consequences for the soul. And there are clear, verifiable signs that indicate when someone possesses this mission. Frankl observed them in the concentration camps, where the difference between living and dying was often not physical, but spiritual. He identified them over decades of clinical practice, helping thousands distinguish between common neurotic emptiness and the genuine call of a life with singular purpose. In the following pages of this script, we will explore together the 8 signs Frankl and his followers identified as markers of this rare mission, and more importantly, we'll discover what to do when you recognize these signs in your own life. The first sign Frankl identified in people with a rare mission is something he called an anticipated suffering from non-fulfillment. It's not simply fear of failure or anxiety about the future. It's something much deeper and more specific. It's the ability to feel, viscerally, the pain of an unlived life, of untapped potential. Frankl first observed this in Auschwitz, where some prisoners, even amidst absolute horror, carried an additional anguish that went beyond immediate physical suffering. They didn't just fear dying, they feared dying without having accomplished something that only they could accomplish. One of these men, whose name Frankl never revealed out of respect for privacy, was a violinist who had begun composing a symphony before the war. This man survived longer than many physically stronger individuals because, as he confided to Frankl on a freezing night in the barracks, he could hear the incomplete symphony playing in his mind, calling to him, demanding that he survive to finish it. This wasn't escapist fantasy or denial of reality. It was the opposite. It was a sharp sense of existential responsibility, the awareness that his specific life had a unique task awaiting him. Frankl contrasted this with another type of prisoner, equally worthy, equally human, but who suffered differently. These latter individuals felt pain for what they had lost, longing for what they had left behind, but they didn't carry this specific urgency about what they still needed to create, to do, or to become. If you feel this anticipated anguish, if you sometimes wake up in the middle of the night with the physical sensation that time is slipping away and something crucial remains unfinished, something no one else can do for you, Frankl would say this is not neurosis. It is your noetic spirit, your specifically human dimension, communicating that you have a unique responsibility to fulfill. The second sign is what Frankl described as an intolerance for existential mediocrity, not in the sense of arrogance or superiority, but as a genuine inability to settle for a life lived only on the surface. This manifests very concretely. You might have a successful career, stable relationships, material security, everything society defines as success, and still feel a gnawing emptiness from within. Frankl treated countless patients who other therapists mistakenly diagnosed with clinical depression, when in reality they suffered from what he called noogenic neurosis, a specifically spiritual void that no antidepressant could fill because its origin wasn't biochemical. It was existential. One of his most memorable patients was a high-powered executive who earned an exceptional salary, had a loving family, took vacations in exotic locations, everything functioning perfectly on the surface. But she came to Frankl's office saying something he never forgot. "Doctor, I wake up every day and prepare to play the role of a successful person. I play it so well that I've fooled everyone, including myself, for years. But I can't do it anymore. I can't spend another day pretending that closing deals and accumulating bonuses has any real meaning. Frankl didn't medicate her. He didn't try to convince her she was being ungrateful or irrational. Instead, he helped her identify that she carried an unfulfilled vocation to work with abandoned children, something she had suppressed for decades in favor of the lucrative career her parents and society expected of her. Intolerance for existential mediocrity is a sign of spiritual health, not illness. It's your noetic consciousness rejecting a life built solely on material or social foundations. If you feel this persistent discomfort with a life that looks good on paper but feels hollow in the soul, if you can't convince yourself that comfort and security are enough, Frankl would argue you're receiving a clear message that your mission lies elsewhere, waiting for you. The third sign Frankl identified was an amplified sensitivity to the suffering of others, but a very specific kind. It wasn't just general empathy or a broad compassion for humanity. This was far more targeted. You'd feel a profound, almost physical resonance when encountering people suffering in a particular way that seemed connected to your yet undiscovered or unfulfilled mission. Frankl consistently observed this in individuals who eventually uncovered their unique vocations. One of the most illustrative cases from Frankl's clinical practice involved an engineer who came to his office complaining of chronic insomnia and a persistent feeling of unease. During their sessions, Frankl discovered the man became deeply disturbed whenever he read or heard about people who had died in accidents that could have been prevented with better safety systems. While others might feel a fleeting sadness and move on, this man would become fixated for days, imagining the details, feeling a strange personal responsibility, as if every preventable death was a failure of his own. Frankl helped the engineer realize this sensitivity wasn't pathological, it was vocational. This man eventually left his secure job at a large corporation and dedicated his life to developing safety technologies for underserved areas, saving countless lives in the process. His insomnia disappeared not because his symptoms were treated, but because his life was finally aligned with his mission. Frankl explained that our psyche possesses a wisdom that predates our conscious understanding. Before we intellectually know what our mission is, our deepest self already recognizes the suffering we are destined to alleviate, the problem we are equipped to solve. If there's a particular kind of human pain that you simply can't observe and forget, that haunts you, that makes you feel strangely responsible even without an obvious connection, Frankl would say, pay attention. Your soul is signaling the territory where your rare mission awaits. And now I need to pause and really talk to you who are watching. I know many of you carry this feeling in silence, this persistent intuition that there's something specific you're meant to be doing, but you don't quite know what. You look around and see people seemingly content with ordinary lives, and you wonder if this discomfort you feel is just ingratitude, immaturity, or if it's something deeper. So tell me here in the comments, with complete honesty, have you ever felt you carry a unique responsibility in this world, something only you can do, even without knowing exactly what it is? If so, just type, I feel this unique responsibility. No need to explain, no need to justify, and know that by doing so, you're helping dozens, maybe hundreds of others here in the comments feel less alone. It's often profoundly liberating to realize that others feel the exact same quiet calling, this same sacred restlessness. Let's create a community here of people brave enough to admit they feel the weight of a mission, even without fully knowing it yet. Your courage to share this might be exactly what someone needs to see today, to not give up on searching for their own purpose. The fourth sign Frankl identified is something he called a paradoxical attraction to the difficult. While most people naturally seek the path of least resistance, those with a rare mission experience something different. They feel strangely drawn to challenges that others would consider irrational or unnecessary. It's not masochism or a neurotic need to prove something. It's an intuitive perception that the meaning of their life lies precisely in what is difficult for them in a specific way. Frankl illustrated this with the story of a young woman who came to him, paralyzed by severe social phobia. She could barely leave her house, avoided any meaningful human interaction, and lived in almost complete isolation. But during their sessions, Frankl discovered something fascinating. She would spend hours writing elaborate letters to people she had never met, responding to ads from lonely individuals in newspapers, offering words of comfort and deep understanding. When Frankl asked why she did this, she replied with something that surprised him. "I know what the soul-corroding loneliness feels like. I understand it in a way that normal people can't. And I feel like I'm wasting that understanding if I don't share it, even if it's just through letters." Frankl realized that her social phobia wasn't simply an obstacle to be removed. It was, paradoxically, part of the equipment that prepared her for her specific mission. Through her own suffering with isolation, she had developed a unique capacity to reach out to other isolated individuals in a way that no trained therapist, lacking that lived experience, could. Eventually, she created one of the first pen pal networks for people with social anxiety disorders, helping thousands without ever needing to meet them in person. Her limitation had become her unique contribution. If you feel inexplicably drawn to a specific challenge, if there's a particular mountain you feel you need to climb, even with no obvious reward waiting at the summit, if there's a hardship that others avoid but you feel compelled to face, Frankl would argue that you are receiving crucial information about your mission. The universe doesn't place random obstacles in your path. The specific challenges you face are often clues to the specific contribution that only you can offer. The fifth sign is what Frankl described as spontaneous self-transcendence. These are moments where you completely forget yourself, lose track of time, and experience a dissolution of ego boundaries, not through drugs or meditative practices, but through deep engagement with a specific activity or cause. Frankl was careful to distinguish this from mere distraction or escape. When someone gets lost in a binge-worthy TV series or endlessly scrolls through social media, it's a passive forgetting of the self, a numbing. But genuine self-transcendence is active, energizing, expanding your awareness rather than contracting it. Frankl observed that people with rare missions experience these moments more frequently and intensely than others, especially as they approached, even unconsciously, the territory of their calling. He recounted the case of an accountant who detested his job and suffered from chronic depression, but who experienced deep flow states when, on weekends, he'd fix old bicycles and donate them to kids in underserved communities. During those hours in his garage, he literally forgot his problems, his physical aches, his sense of life failure. Time flew. He entered a state Frankl recognized as self-transcendence. The self preoccupied with its own troubles temporarily dissolved because it was genuinely focused on something beyond itself, on serving something larger. Frankl eventually helped this man realize these weren't just relaxing hobbies. They were windows into his true calling. He ended up leaving accounting and started an organization that collected, repaired, and distributed bikes to kids in need, impacting thousands of lives. His depressive episodes disappeared not because they were directly treated, but because his life finally had a center of gravity pulling him outside of himself. If you experience these moments of spontaneous self-transcendence, where you completely lose yourself in what you're doing, and the outside world fades away, pay close attention to what you were doing when it happened. Frankl would say, your noetic dimension is showing you, through direct experience, the territory where your mission awaits. These aren't accidents or coincidences. They are revelations. The sixth sign Frankl identified was an inability to conform to purely materialistic or hedonistic explanations of existence. This isn't necessarily about formal religiosity or New Age spirituality. It's something more fundamental, a visceral refusal of the idea that life is just about maximizing pleasure and minimizing pain, or that success is measured solely in terms of external achievements and resource accumulation. Frankl strongly contrasted his approach with Freud's, who saw the pursuit of pleasure as the primary human motivator, and Adler's, who emphasized the drive for power and superiority. Frankl argued that for a significant portion of humanity, especially those with rare missions, there's a search for meaning that precedes and transcends both pleasure and power. He illustrated this with observations from the concentration camps. While some prisoners adapted by becoming brutal and selfish, maximizing their chances of survival by any means necessary, others maintained their humanity precisely through their connection to a meaning that transcended physical survival. So Dr. Prisoner Frankl knew continued to treat other sick individuals, even when it meant sharing his own meager rations and risking punishment from the guards. When Frankl asked why, the doctor offered a profound response. "If I stop being a doctor, if I stop serving, I've already died anyway. My body might keep functioning, but that which makes me who I am, will have ceased to exist." For this man, living with meaning was more fundamental than simply living. This wasn't naive idealism or denial of reality. It was the recognition that for certain human beings, a meaningless life is literally worse than death, not metaphorically, but experientially. If you can't convince yourself that life is just about feeling good, if every hedonistic philosophy rings hollow to you, if you instinctively reject the idea that accumulating pleasures and achievements is the ultimate goal of existence, Frankl would say this is evidence that your noetic consciousness is operating at a higher level. You're not being difficult or complicated. You're simply responding to a different reality, a dimension of existence that not everyone accesses with the same intensity. And this refusal to settle for superficial explanations of life is often the first step toward discovering a mission that, by definition, cannot be explained in purely materialistic terms. If these ideas are starting to resonate deeply with you, if you feel like someone is finally describing experiences you've carried silently, thinking you were alone, I want to invite you to something. Subscribe to this channel now. This isn't a channel for superficial self-help or empty motivation. Here we dive weekly into the thought of Viktor Frankl and other humanistic philosophers who offer genuine answers, tested in the most extreme circumstances humanity has ever faced, to the existential void so many of us carry. You don't have to walk this journey of discovering your rare mission alone. Click the subscribe button right below this video and become part of a community of people brave enough not to settle for superficial lives, to question, to seek, and to grow. Every week I bring new insights, new practical tools based on logotherapy, new pathways for you to transform that existential discomfort you feel into a life of profound meaning. You deserve this. Your mission deserves this. The seventh signal Frankl identified is something he called a sense of urgency disproportionate to chronological time. It's not simply being always in a rush or impatient. It's a sharp, sometimes almost painful, awareness that each day that passes without you being aligned with your true mission is a day irrecoverably lost. Frankl observed that this urgency increased with age, but not linearly. People without rare missions generally became more relaxed over time, accepting a slower pace of life. But those with unfulfilled vocations experienced the opposite. The older they got, the more urgent the calling became, the more intolerable existential procrastination felt. Frankl treated a 60-year-old man who had built a respectable career as a lawyer, had a stable family, was financially comfortable, and was approaching retirement. Most people in this position would be planning how to enjoy their final years in leisure and rest. But this man arrived at Frankl's office in a state of severe agitation, saying he felt he was racing against an invisible clock, that each day spent practicing corporate law was a day stolen from something crucial he hadn't yet done. Through the sessions, Frankl discovered that the man in his youth had dreamed of being a teacher, specifically of bringing education to underserved rural areas. But family, societal pressures, and financial needs had pushed him into law. Now at 60, this buried dream had resurfaced with multiplied force. The urgency he felt wasn't irrational. Frankl helped him realize it was his noetic dimension, his deepest consciousness, communicating mathematically. If he had statistically 20 or 30 more years of life and his true mission hadn't yet begun, then there was literally no time to waste. The man eventually made the transition, becoming a teacher at a rural school, and described the next 10 years as more meaningful than all the 40 prior combined. If you feel this urgency, if time seems to be accelerating in a way that frightens you, if you have a growing sense that you need to start now or it will be too late, Frankl wouldn't tell you to relax or that you have plenty of time. He would say, trust that urgency. Your soul knows something your mind is still trying to rationalize. Time is indeed limited, and every day matters when it comes to fulfilling a mission only you can accomplish. The eighth and final signal, perhaps the most definitive of all according to Frankl, is what he described as specific suffering when you betray your mission versus specific relief when you honor it, even minimally. This goes beyond simply feeling bad when you do something wrong or feeling good when you do something right. It's a visceral, unmistakable response that functions as an internal compass, always pointing towards your true calling. Frankl explained that every human being has a conscience, but for those with rare missions, this conscience operates with particular precision and intensity when it comes specifically to the area of their vocation. He recounted the case of a woman who worked in advertising, earned very well, but suffered from debilitating migraines that no medical treatment could alleviate. Curiously, the migraines were most intense after particularly successful campaigns that involved manipulating people's insecurities to sell unnecessary products. But when she volunteered her weekends teaching adult literacy, the migraines disappeared completely, even if she slept little or was under stress. Frankl helped her realize that her body was literally rejecting a life built on manipulation, while it flourished when she used her communication skills to empower rather than exploit. This wasn't psychosomatic in a trivial sense. It was the physical manifestation of a deep existential dissonance. When she finally transitioned to full-time education, the migraines never returned. Frankl observed that this phenomenon was universal among people with rare missions. There is a real, measurable physical and psychological cost to living out of alignment with your vocation, and an equally real energy, vitality, and well-being that arises when you, even in small steps, move towards it. Pay attention to your body, your emotions, your vital energy. If you systematically feel drained, sick, or depressed when you do certain things, even if they are financially rewarding or socially approved, and you feel alive, energized, or at peace when you do other things, even if they are difficult or unpaid, you are receiving direct biological information about your mission. Frankl trusted this wisdom of the organism as a whole, not just the rational mind. Your body knows, your soul knows. The question is whether you will pay attention. Now, having explored the 8 signs Viktor Frankl identified in people with rare missions, we need to face the question that's probably burning in you. What if I recognize these signs in myself? What if all of this describes my experience with disturbing accuracy? What do I do now? Frankl was emphatic on one crucial point. Recognizing your mission is just the beginning, not the end. In fact, he argued that recognition without action is one of the most profound forms of existential suffering. It's worse to live knowing what your mission is and not fulfilling it than to live still searching to discover it. Because once you know, the responsibility becomes inescapable. You can no longer hide behind ignorance or confusion. But Frankl also deeply understood the real obstacles that prevent people from living their missions. Fear of failure, fear of social judgment, legitimate financial needs, family responsibilities, the inertia of years or decades of living differently. He never minimized these realities, but he also never accepted that they were insurmountable. Frankl had seen people find and live their missions in Auschwitz, literally hell on earth, where there were no resources, no freedom, not even the certainty of surviving the next day. If missions could be fulfilled there, they certainly could be fulfilled in the infinitely more favorable circumstances most of us face. The key, he discovered, wasn't waiting for perfect conditions or making dramatic, instant changes. It was starting where you are, with what you have, taking small steps in the direction of your mission while still maintaining your existing responsibilities. That engineer who developed safety technologies didn't quit his job immediately. He started by dedicating a few hours a week to developing his ideas. The woman who created the pen pal network for people with social anxiety started with a few letters. The doctor in Auschwitz started by helping just one patient at a time. A rare mission doesn't demand you abandon your current life irresponsibly. It demands that you start integrating it, even minimally at first, into the fabric of your daily existence. But Frankl also warned against a particular trap: intellectualizing and procrastinating disguised as preparation. He saw many people who recognized their calling but spent years, sometimes decades, preparing, studying, planning, waiting for the right moment. They were, in his words, using preparation as a defense against action, because preparation is safe, while action involves real risk of failure, criticism, and change. Frankl was direct. Start imperfectly, start ill-equipped, start scared, but start. Because a rare mission isn't about perfection, it's about fidelity to your unique calling. It's about using what you have now, where you are now, to serve what only you can serve. And there's something profoundly liberating in that understanding. Your mission doesn't require you to be extraordinary at everything. It only requires you to be you, fully, applying your specific gifts, your specific pain, your specific insight to the problem or suffering that resonates with your soul. You are not competing with anyone. There is no one else who can fulfill your mission exactly as you can. By definition, if it's truly your rare mission, you are irreplaceable in it. This isn't arrogance, it's existential responsibility. Frankl would end his sessions with patients who had identified their missions with a simple but devastating question. When you're on your deathbed, looking back at your life, do you want to see a life where you knew what you were supposed to do but chose not to because of fear, convenience, or conformity? Or do you want to see a life where you tried, however imperfectly and incompletely, to honor the calling only you could answer? This is not a rhetorical question. It's the question that defines the meaning of a human life. And the answer isn't in words. It's in actions. Small, daily, consistent actions in the direction of what your soul knows to be true. If you've recognized the 8 signs in yourself, if something in this video has touched something deep and undeniable within you, hit that like button now so more people can find these potentially life-changing ideas. And more importantly, tell me in the comments, which of the 8 signs resonated most deeply with your experience? Your courage to share might be exactly what someone else needs to take their first step toward their own mission. You are not alone on this journey. We are all walking together toward what Viktor Frankl called the one thing no one can take from us, the freedom to choose our attitude, our path, our meaning. Even in the most challenging circumstances,